Good morning, Barstow. My name is Elise, and this is Ryan. How was homecoming, Ryan?
Eventful.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
Well, last week was packed with events. We had Spirit Week, which was followed by a pep assembly on Friday, where we had special appearances from the winter sports teams. To end the Friday night, we had the homecoming game, where we highlighted the royalty of the high school and watched the girls defeat Central 57-15, and the boys win against Maranatha 78-42. Jacob Gilliard also reached a milestone by scoring his 2,000th point during the game. Kate Walsworth scored her 1,000th point. Finally, on Saturday, we had the homecoming dance.
Last week was pretty fun. Let's see what we have in store for this week. But first, let's roll the intro.
Have you been able to make it out to any of the district basketball games yet?
No, I haven't, but I heard that the girls earned a 46-42 victory against Hogan Prep on Monday and will advance to round 2 tonight against O'Hara High School at their home court.
Yeah, and the guys played last night and won against University Academy and will advance to round 2.
So, Elise, have you heard any news regarding the dance team?
I have. This weekend they will be competing in the MDTA State Championship, which will be in St. Charles, Missouri this year. Everyone should wish them luck and come out to support if you are free. They'd appreciate it.
In other weekend news, the upper school debaters will be on their way to the J.W. Patterson Invitational in Oklahoma City this Friday.
The middle school debaters will also be going to the state championships to end their season this Saturday at UMKC, while the middle school speech team will be competing at Bingham Middle School this Friday.
With all these events, it's kind of hard to keep up. Like, frankly, I can't even keep up with some of the stuff I have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think some people would agree with you, but thanks to BTVN, Beeline, and Yearbook, keeping up with what goes on around the school is a bit easier.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And you know, all of us wouldn't have this equipment if it wasn't for the donors and the annual Barstow auction. It's not too late to join them this Saturday at the Ritz-Charles from 6 to 10 p.m.
I hear they have a lot in store for this year's auction. Switching gears to the lower school, half of the 5th grade STEAM students left on a field trip this morning to a local recording studio. The other half will be going to another recording studio tomorrow. BTVN's very own Aiden Scorado caught up with Mr. Buckner to tell us more about it.
I'm taking the 5th graders today and tomorrow down to the Marcosa Sound Studio down in Roland Park, and we're going to learn all about different kinds of microphones, how to mic certain instruments, how to mic the voice, and look at the big giant console he has there. I've recorded there several times with my bands, and I just think it'd be a really neat learning experience to get out of these 4 hallowed walls to get some neat education.
Well, that sounds really cool, Mr. Buckner. Ryan, do you remember the Wax Museum in 3rd grade?
Yeah, I do remember. I was actually Daniel Boone. Every year, the 3rd graders learn about historical figures and dress up as them for a wax museum. It'll be at 2 p.m. this Friday in Price Hall. If you get a chance, you should definitely stop by.
I think I was an artist, but I can't really remember it because it was such a long time ago.
Well, that's cool, Elise. But did you know that the term wax refers to multiple organic substances composed together that are in a solid state at room temperature but liquefy at 46 degrees Celsius and boil at 370 degrees Celsius?
Ryan, I had no idea.
Did you know that the U.S. imports 4,000 barrels of wax per day and exports 6,000 barrels of wax per day?
No, Ryan, why are you talking about consumption?
Well, because my piece is about paper consumption.
Yeah, but paper consumption and wax consumption...
Roll it.
The technology department obviously wants to support a very environmentally friendly use of our resources, and that includes paper. We manage all of the printers here at the school through a company, and they just basically charge us per sheet, and it depends on if it's color or black and white. This is the amount of throwaway and this isn't too much. This may be about 50 to 100 sheets from the help desk today, but this is a light day.
Yeah, I mean, I think paper consumption is a huge concern. My understanding is it's one of the top products that ends up in landfills. So I guess number one is actually recycling paper you don't need anymore. Don't throw it away. I think that's probably our students' first action that they can take.
This is a week's worth from a couple of the big printers. So this is about 3 reams or 1,500 sheets, when it's a little bit heavier.
Well, I think the paper issue at school is a tricky one, especially from a teacher perspective. Teachers have different methods and different approaches, and you don't want to condemn one's pedagogy in regard to paper use. But at the same time, there's a cliche of thinking globally and acting locally, and there are many micro issues that I think everybody can zoom in on, that if we were able to rally the masses, so to speak, around, could produce substantial change.
In a typical 3-month period, we have about 68,000 pages that are printed from all of our printers. This doesn't include the copiers. Business office takes care of that.
I think I try to, I think history teachers in general, we use a lot of paper more than maybe other subject matters. And so what I try to do is figure out in advance everything we're going to need for a unit, print it off for students, and have them keep it in a binder so it doesn't get lost, and so that I'm not recopying things. Hopefully that, in the past I feel like people would lose things, I'm handing them extra copies, and it always felt like I was using more paper than necessary.
That is about 1,133 prints per day throughout the entire school. So a little bit over 2.25 reams of paper at the school, which is about 1.6 per student per day.
There are some things that we can do, for example, in Google Docs. Like we do some shared activities with documents where different groups of sophomores can analyze and do their writing, and we can all share on Google Docs, and then we're not using paper. But with some activities, for example, today, we were mapping the 19th century imperialism. And that really is most effectively done on paper with colored pencils, So we went through and mapped British holdings and French holdings and Dutch holdings around the world, for example. And to me, it's worth it to have that tangible piece of paper in your hand and be able to sort of see the colors come to life, and then you have this great study tool. So I feel like if we use it wisely, it can be really effective.
So what we encourage people to do is be sensible about what they print, be really sensible about where they print. Don't print to the color printer if you need black and white.
Oh, the profit paper. Sorry, Kendall, gonna have to tell on you, but you got a good laugh out of this too. 8th grade, Kendall wanted to make a couple copies, and unbeknownst to him at the time, he hit a couple extra zeros. So he came back with a stack of about 400 sheets of paper. And I made a point, I thought, we're not chucking that. I made a point to let everybody in every hour that year know that in the middle of the belly of the whale, my front desk here would be profit paper. And I think we stretched profit paper for a couple years. And essentially when they took quizzes or they had larger tests and they needed an answer sheet, everybody came up and used the profit paper and saved their own. So in the global aspect of recycling and saving some trees, I think Kendall and I teamed well in that regard.
That was a great piece, Ryan. I feel informed.
I feel informed too, Elise. Switching to the arts, this weekend Barstow singers went to Van Horn to take part in the Crossroads Music Festival. They rehearsed from 8:30 to 2 and then performed at 3. Let's see some B-roll from Luke Luma.
You all sound great. Remember that spring sports start next Monday and all athletes must have a current physical on file in the athletic office.
And lastly, for those needing service hours, March 2nd and 3rd is the lower school production of The Jungle Book. From 6 to 7:15, volunteers will hand out programs, help people find their seats, and sell and hand out flowers. For more information, email Ms. Zimmerman.
Well, great show, Ryan. That's all we have today. I'm Elise Finn.
And I'm Ryan Mohammadi. Have a great Wednesday, Barstow.